do it for you. Baby, don't forget the floor is yours. Yeah, baby, got me. The floor is yours. If it come down to the floor is yours. Let me show you how I prove the floor is yours. 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 The floor is yours.
Now it's my turn to tell y'all.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for all of our Floor is Yours podcast listeners from all of our platforms. Today we bring you a very special talk. And today we're talking with a lady by the name of Natasha Mosby. Did I say that right?
Yes, you did.
And she is going to explain to us why she's here today. First, we want to go out and let everyone know that we have a lot of big events that are moving forward with our podcast and our movement. One of our major attentions that we have actually taken the time out to kind of sculpt is men's mental health. And so as we move forward with the movement of men's mental health, we want to make sure that we keep you involved, we keep you in the know, and we bring content so that you can share with friends. So don't forget to like, comment, subscribe on all our platforms. Find us for all our podcasts, plus our new podcast coming up. And we have more special announcements around the way. So again, see Miss Natasha Mosby, and she's going to tell us a little bit about why she's here today.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, both of you for having me here today. I'm so excited. So as mentioned, my name is Natasha Mosby. I am a licensed clinical social worker here in Las Vegas, Nevada. I do specialize in mental health, particularly around integrated behavioral health. So what does that mean is that I look at both mental and physical health and how the two interact with one another. And oh, wow. So I'm so excited about this. I know for the past year, I want to say for the past year and a half, I've had the desire to focus more on communities of color, right? And communities that are being impacted in terms of just chronic health conditions, but also mental health as well. So about a year or so ago, I was talking to some colleagues of mine, and I said, I want to do a men's mental health forum. And there were some things I kind of felt discouraged about because I believe that as there are some things that in terms of lived experiences, I wanted to make sure those communities that I wanted to speak to were at the table. So I kind of put some brakes on some things, and I reached out to some amazing men here in our community, and I said, if this was offered, what would you like? So I started there. So over the course of the past year, just talking to our men in our community, Black men in our community, about what is mental health, what's important to you, and what would you like to hear if you had this type of platform. And we're here now. So for myself, I just been really excited just bringing men to the table to have an event for men of color, to talk about some pressing issues that they see around their mental health, their physical health, their spiritual health, their financial wellness, all of those things.
Yes.
And I said, I just want to be a platform. I want to create it, build it, and then let them come. Let them do their thing.
Wow, that's
so
amazing.
Before we jump into the discussion, why men's mental health specifically?
So I know Gerard, you know, but I also teach at UNLV. And about a year or so ago, I did ask our social work students, do you guys know what June is dedicated to? And students was like, no. And I said, June is Men's Health Month. And I don't think a lot of people know that in 1990, 1970 something, it was dedicated to address mental health and healthcare disparities amongst men. So that kind of put a little, bug in my ear. Like, I don't think our communities know the impact that particularly men of color has been affected by chronic health diseases and also mental health diagnoses, and that's been untreated and also overly treated, misdiagnosed. So I just kind of gathering that data. I was like, I want to talk about the significance of June, but around men's mental health, but have a target population that's Black men. So that's why men's mental health.
Okay. Now, I some material that we received, you made a statement. You said, we must believe in our heart that we are meant to live a life full of passion, purpose, magic, and miracles.
Yes.
Explain that to us.
Some of that comes from my own just kind of healing journey, right? A lot of this, in terms just as wellness was what I did, I believe that I have to start with myself first, have to start with my families first, people in my family first. And it's been a lot of undoing some of these narratives that we have about ourselves as people. It's been a lot of undoing about these messages that we receive from, outside of our own cultural belief systems, and tapping back in and say, you know what, I'm full of magic, I'm full of purpose, I'm full of belief systems. And what does that look like for me? So when I say the words magic, I have to define my magic, right? So even in sessions, I ask my clients, like, what does magic mean to you? Sometimes I get this, oh, you're talking about witchcraft. I'm like, no, I'm talking about what's in you that is powerful, that's resilient.
Were they from
right?
New Orleans?
No, actually they're not. It's but and I had to kind of define that a little bit. And I'm like, what's in you that speaks of resiliency? What's in you that speaks of purpose? What's in you that speaks of I need to allow myself the opportunity to rest and recharge and get back up and do this again. So that started kind of inward, and I just kind of been, let me help people tap in, right, with themselves. Yeah.
That's good. That's good. And me, another question along the lines. I'm gonna preface it with this. I'm a Christian, and I'm only saying it because I see a lot of issues in the church where, and I'm thinking about what you just said about magic and how people will literally push back on some good information and good material that could spur them on to healing and improving. But I see, number one, that there's a lot of people in the church trying to do good, but they're not qualified. And I'm trying to see, do you see a chance or opportunity for what you're doing to have a more of a impact in our religious systems?
I'm hoping so, Gerard. And something, I do have a couple of meetings set up next week with a couple of our religious leaders here in our community. And my goal is to really talk with them about just holistic care. So if we talk about our physical health, we have mental health, right? Those things, those two things are not disconnected from one another. So in my meetings, I think I have about 4 meetings next week, is to talk with them about the importance of allowing for space, whether it's at this event in June or you open up those doors in your churches, to talk about what is mental health, what is physical health, how do we attend to both of those dimensions of care. And I think sometimes coming with some information to talk about, hey, this is what mental health is. I think when we hear that word, we think negative terms, but it's not. It's not.
When you
We all have mental
Gerard
health.
he mentioned the church, and you're so right. Inside of the church, I think that a lot of the stigma comes along with, oh, that's devil this, or that's, sometimes we're so deeply rooted in what was, we forget that we must grow and progress and heal from the traumas of the past. And that's emotionally, mentally, physically, in some areas of what we're going through in this day. And now that we're on the topic, we really wanted to delve into the 8 emotional coping mechanism chart that came across our lab. And so I had a question. This chart was created by Peggy Swarbrick, right? It's Peggy
Actually,
Swarbrick?
yes, but I pulled it. Yes, go ahead. I'm sorry.
And so,
So
I'm trying to. So I know that as we create these somewhat value plans or goal plans in order to create a better mental health aspect in our life, what determines that you use? Is it one size? I know it's not one size fits all, but when you're working with people and delivering the information, what determines what tactics that you use? Because even if you're working out, what might work for one work for the next. How do you determine
absolutely.
that?
So for the 8 dimensions of wellness, this scale has been used in various places. Some of the earliest has been in workforce. For me, so I use this particular scale in my practice, in my private practice. So when clients are coming in to see me, those initial clients, and as part of their intake, they score themselves. So there's an assessment. So there's a pre and a post assessment that they complete. And so out of those 8 dimensions, there are 10 questions per dimension, and they score themselves based on a scale. And what they do, so once they score themselves, we sit down and we say, okay, based on those 8 dimensions, we may not tap on every single one of those dimensions in treatment. We may not tap on all those dimensions in our own personal lives. However, there may be 3 or 4 that stands out that they say, Tasha, I really need to attend to my physical wellness. I need to attend to my social wellness, my emotional wellness. And from that, we build together some treatment around that, right? So that's on the clinical side of things. So for this particular workshops that we're going to be doing, I wanted our participants to think of themselves holistically. We're just not one dimension, right? So what that means, if there's something going on in my life financially where I'm struggling, that may impact my emotional wellness. That's going to impact my social wellness. So to be able to say, okay, what's happening in my life and what do I need to attend to? It's like a balance wheel in a sense, right? And I noticed that when my clients start talking about, hey, I noticed when I start taking care of my physical self, right? My physical wellness, I don't mean these crazy diets. I just mean simply drinking water, moving your body, right? Getting some sunlight. They saw an improvement in how they saw the world.
Wow.
So for me, this 8 dimensions is so important because you get to tap into all those different spaces that we sometimes don't think about. Even our occupation, where we work can affect our mental health.
Yes.
Right? Our environment where I live can affect my mental health, my overall wellness. So for me, it's about giving clients the education around what is the 8 dimensions of wellness and how do all these things attend to me as a person, right? What affects me and where am I doing well at too?
So you use this as a tool in
Yes.
order to assess, determine, and it's something that anyone can use for any portion of their
Absolutely.
life.
And I will
one
say
thing,
this.
No, go ahead.
Culturally, with that too, I mean, I made some adjustments because I believe that interventions must be culturally sensitive to the populations that we're working with. So yes, I use that, but we also look at how am I defining my spiritual wellness? What's important for me? How am I defining physical health? How am I defining social wellness? So I may give them some education around it, but what's going to work for me? Because one shoe don't fit every foot, right? So we really do a lot of processing and digging in and finding out how do I get to the core of this and make some healthy, changes. How I define health changes in my own life and family lives.
Oh wow, that's amazing.
So what are some of the your
I'm
biggest
sorry.
challenges?
I'm sorry, I can hear you.
What are some of your biggest challenges you have to accomplish those goals? For one, we always talk about men, or in the Black community, how men like we don't need, mental health. We're strong already. But besides that one, what are some of the other challenges or hurdles that you come across?
Joy, that's an interesting question because if it's right now, I see more men in private practice. My ratio right now is about 60% men.
Do you run into men that don't
Really?
that
That's
are they
surprising.
refer are they referred to you? Do you ever run into men that say, hey, I prefer to rather have a man? Or is it mostly, do you see that most really?
Yes. And I would say usually those are like my court referred cases.
Interesting.
And yes. And I respect that. I do. So of course I'm going to explore that. And I believe just like we talk about wanting to see providers that look like us, that's no different when it comes to gender at times, right?
Wow.
So even with thinking about this wellness event that I'm doing, I purposely said, and I love my female colleagues, and I said, guess what, ladies, we sitting this one out. I said, I want the brothers to do their own conference. I want men to see themselves in the image of themselves as psychologists and nutritionists and, doctors, but also teachers and administrations and also fathers to lead every single workshop. So that's what's so unique about it. And I love it. I was sitting back last night drawing out my little plan. And I told my husband, I said, babe, every man in this event is a brother, which was my intent. And he looked at me, he said, Tasha, we don't have enough of that. He was like, when we're in a space, how often are we sitting with our brothers and talking about what we're going through? So, and I said, that's what I want. I want to just be in the background, doing my little thing and say, y'all do it. I'm here to support the city. I'm so excited the city is helping and partnering with Health and Wellness for this event. But I'm thrilled to be able to see it play out this way.
That's dope. That's dope.
That's really dope. I mean, that made me happy to hear you say that, and not to have cut Gerard's question off, But could you also kind of elaborate on? I noticed as I again I did some doing my research. I noticed that you also work with children.
Yes.
So is your main clientele? Is it mainly family, or is it just the full? And what are you seeing in our young Black males?
So initially 20 plus years ago, my population of choice was children's mental health, and I still specialize in children's mental health. But over the course of my 20 years, I apple tree, right? So yes, I treat children, but I have moved from that vacuum type treatment so I can't treat this child in isolation of a mama, a daddy, a grandma, a uncle, a cousin. It takes a village. So I'm like, I need mamas, daddies, grandma, cousin, uncles, whoever is involved in this youngster's life to get in my office. And I say it like that sometimes too. But so yes, I still work with children, but I do believe systems play a huge part in these kiddos' emotional and social and physical trauma. Because at the root of this is trauma.
Right.
It's trauma.
And the socioeconomic environment plays an important part. But you want to make sure that you reach for the head. And so you work your way down. That's the only way you can heal that wound. You got to start cleaning it out, and you got to start working your way down. And that is an amazing way to look at it. You are amazing. I mean, the fact that you have started your own professional journey, and then as you move through your journey, you realize where your voice can be better heard at. It's you have a very, very purposeful and dedicated process you brought yourself through. And I wanted to tell you, I appreciate that. If I know someone in the Vegas area, I will definitely send them to you. So
thank you. I appreciate that. I do.
We definitely want to try to segue into what you are doing in your community. And I know Gerard wanted to kind of lead that discussion with. Explain to us a little bit more about the summit, the forum, or the movement.
When you said that, I got chills. The movement. So the purpose is to bring awareness and prevention, and for me, is to create a space where men can hear some education and awareness about what is mental health, what is physical health, and how the two intersect with one another. I had a colleague said, "Tasha, why Black men?" And I said, well, why not? But bigger than that, Black men have the highest rates of diabetes, cancer, cardiovascular disease. The highest rates of depression, the highest rates of suicide attempts and suicide, the highest rates of cancer, right? And so a lot of that stuff is linked to mental health. Right. So if I'm struggling, right, if I'm struggling with depression, if I'm struggling with anxiety, it affects my physical health. It affects my gut. It affects my heart. It affects my blood pressure. It affects possible substance abuse. So when she said it to me, I kind of got all defensive, like, what you mean, why Black men? Why not Black men? And of course, I had to put on my, professional teaching hat. And I said, well, let's talk about statistics. And let's talk about the spaces that Black men don't fit in. So I want to create that space where they can come and talk about these things and how they interact, but also get some skills about how to take care of themselves, right? I feel one of the things I'm doing here, I do this event called Leave It on the Mat with an amazing partner of mine called Kiana.
One more time.
Leave It on the Mat. So Leave It on the Mat is a mental health. So it's a mental health and yoga event that we host once a month. And every time I'm sitting in those spaces, I look around and we have women. There's women in these spaces. And I was talking to another colleague, and I said, men need this. They need a place to leave it on the mat. They need a space to talk about even self-care. So when I'm talking about self-care with men in therapy, they're like, what is that? And I said, guess what, brother? You still need to take care of yourself. You're still entitled to going for walks. You're still entitled to going to get a massage. You're still entitled to getting treated fairly and nicely and all those things. And I want them to have that, to know that's okay to take care of your body, to take care of your mind, your spirit, your finances, your community, right? And I'm just really passionate about this. I'm sorry.
I love it. I mean, the notes that I am taking over here, I mean, I love this. Leave it on the mat.
Leave it on the
That
mat.
is amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, someone threw up the prayer hands. I understand. That is gorgeous.
Yeah.
I mean,
They are worthy of
what
that, man. I don't
what
think
an
we've.
uplifting
Yes.
spiritual way to tackle so many issues. Amazing. Are you so? Have you taken this thing on the road? Because
I
that
have
is,
not.
you know, it would also be look at me pitching the podcast. you know, there is always room for physical activity and through conversation, and I think that's the purpose of we need to embrace these type of physical activities.
Yes.
Yoga, Pilates, things that help you center your mind, you
Yes.
that things that help you reach areas you might not normally reach. Because I know
Right.
sometimes when I work out, you know I'm pulling out all my hip hop music, I'm pulling out my
Yes.
fast gospel, I'm running, jumping, but sometimes we need to learn
I'm
how to calm
crying
our minds.
sometimes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Hey, so and on that line, you was talking about self-care. And it
Yes.
might I've had the conversation with people and initially it sounded kind of elementary, but some people don't know what self-care consists of. And it is, the massages and the walks. But
It's
one
more
thing that
than
I
that.
learned for self-care is saying no, freeing
There you
up
go.
time against people that latch on to you and just wear on you. So can you talk about, I know we don't have a lot of time, just what self-care can look like?
So in treatment with myself too, I talk about self-care versus maintenance.
Mhm.
Okay. Self-care for me is not getting my hair done. That's maintenance because I don't find purpose in that. I feel like, okay, this is something I gotta do, right? Self-care, how I define it, how I try to help my clients define it, is what is something that you can engage in where you feel fully present, where you feel as if I am recharging my mind, my body, and my spirit. So in that case, we have to define that. And some of that, I'm gonna tell you right now, is setting some boundaries. I heard you say no. Saying no to some things is self-care. Because you're also kind of protecting your energy, right? So it's about, I think it can be defined differently for everyone. I know getting my nails done, that's maintenance. I don't enjoy being always in the company of so many people because I'm constantly in the company of people. So to me, self-care can mean solitude. For some, self-care can mean I need to engage with others. So what I'm also hoping in this event, as we're talking about these different workshops, is that men can sit with men and talk about what does that look like for me. The brothers I see in therapy, they said, Tasha, the 45 minutes I get with you and maybe my wife in treatment is the time that we get by ourselves. Therapy
Wow.
can be self-care, right?
Yeah.
Seeing someone to talk about what's happening and what some positive parts of your life can be self-care. So I think that it depends on the person talking about what it means to them and how do I refill my cup initially, right? How do I refill my cup?
Yeah. That's good.
Being outside for me is self-care, even if it's in the heat, because it's something about the sun that gives me energy and all that vitamin D. So I think it's about identifying, knowing what it looks like, and then let me try out some things and see if it works for me.
You have crafted an effective
Yeah, that's
framework
good.
for the pursuit of wellness. I
Oh,
just want to say that the framework that you're crafting and the work that you're doing, it's amazing. We run into a lot of healthcare professionals that come on in our show, and they all have amazing missions. But what you're doing is you're taking your
thank
mission
you.
and you're reaching out to others in the community, and you're doing it. So it's not
I
just our conversation on the podcast. It's going to be a conversation that you can bring people in the community to say, hey, we're here for you. And so being seen sometimes is important.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
thank you for
So
that.
yeah,
Thank
so we're
you.
gonna take a moment and get ready to wrap it up here. We're gonna let you just plug in the event and just give us a little more details. And I got this flyer. I'm gonna
Yes,
share at the
please.
same time.
Tell us about this flyer. This
So
is a
that
save the
flyer
date.
actually is going to be reworked because now, the city is one of our sponsors, and I'm so excited about the city is partnering with Health and Wellness for this. So it's going to be reworked. They're going to throw their amazing logo on there along with the
Okay.
other folks I'm working with sponsors. But this flyer just kind of highlights some of the things we're going to be talking about in this. No, not we. The brothers are going to be talking about in this amazing event. So it is actually three parts. So June 10th, we're having a kickoff reception in City Hall, in the cafe area. And it is so beautiful in there. It's overlooking the city a little bit. So we're going to have a kickoff reception. Haven't confirmed who's going to be our speaker guy. I don't want to ruin that for anybody, but we're going to have someone come and just say hi to the men on Friday night.
All right.
And just kind of a meet and greet. You know, I call it fellowship. I put on my purpose. I said I want Friday to be about fellowship, and I want the brothers to meet each other and say I'm so excited about seeing you Saturday morning. So just eating, hanging out. A guest speaker is going to come and just meet everyone. So Saturday is going to be an all-day event. It's going to be actually from 9 to 4. So they're going to start in chamber halls at 9 o'clock Saturday morning. It's going to be so amazing. And I was like, oh, we get to start in chambers hall. So they're going to have check-in about 8 just to kind of do registration. 9 a.m. we're going to all meet in the chambers, and just once again, another special guest is going to welcome everyone to the event. They're going to have actually 8 breakout groups. So there's going to be 4 happening simultaneously, and they're just going to kind of pick which group they want to involve in. So my planning committee and I are meeting actually tonight just to kind of break out some of those groups. And Gerard, look for my call in the morning, by the way, to look at some of those groups and give it truly identify what's happening in every single one of those breakout groups for the purpose of a book. So the city is going to produce a pamphlet. So as individuals register for the event, and it is free. And I'm so excited about this being free. Y'all have no idea how excited I am. But so yes. So we have everyone from a clinical psychologist, MFT, and it's funny, I saw some hands going up, and I think that was Dr. Sheldon that was clapping there. So he's amazing. So we have from clinical psychology, we have nurse practitioners, we have a psychologist, we have a yoga specialist that's going to wrap us up and close us out for the event. We have a financial wellness advisor. I have altogether 10 amazing men in our community, and also from Texas, and also coming from California to be a part of this. And I am so grateful. And just so grateful for this.
We are so excited going to be there as well to support Gerard. Yay! So awesome. Everyone, several of the podcast members are also going to fly down, try to make sure that we support him in the movement. So it will definitely be a wonderful, wonderful experience for us as well. And thank you so much for putting this together and actually giving back to your community and making the event free. I can't stress enough how many times we see these events are paid through Eventbrite, you know, and you already knock some people down because, you know, they have to make life decisions while they're looking at this Eventbrite sign up. So
can I share this with you real fast?
Go ahead.
How to reach me? So you can reach me a few ways. So my website is on the flyer there, and I can blast it up. And it's so funny.
I'll put it up there.
Okay, thank you. So they can reach me through my website, and I will also, I think my number is there.
And we'll post it to the page as well, our main podcast page.
Okay. And as we get the information back from the city, I will reshare that with your group so you guys can have that information as well. But I just wanted to share, it was interesting when I met with the city, and I'm so grateful for Ms. Kathy. She said, Tasha, what do you want? And it made me think about how sometimes we don't tap in and say, use our voice about this is what I want. And I said to her, I said, Ms. Kathy, in a perfect world, I would want this to be free. She said, well, let's make it a perfect world. Ooh. And I was like, let's do this. So I love it. She says, okay. And because we're hosting the event, you know, we cannot charge anything at City Hall. So that just worked out perfectly. And I will be opening up to the individuals that would like to be exhibitors, not vendors, but exhibitors. So if they have things in the community they want to, you know, exhibit and tell us where their shops is, just to kind of promote small businesses.
It's a way to promote Black small businesses and small
Absolutely.
Black Absolutely. Oh man, this is great.
So
this is right
I'm excited that they're going to be able to join us as well. Yeah.
Hey, so real quick, can you talk about also there's limitations to it? So I think you said Friday family can come, you know.
Yes. So Friday is going to be a +1. So, you know, but for you guys coming to support Sherrod, all of you guys are coming. So don't worry about that on Friday. Saturday is for the men. So, you know, I'm telling family on Friday night, let's, you know, have fun. Let's be together. It's from 6 to 9, that event on Friday. But on Saturday, we want to step back and we want to allow the men to have their space. We want to allow that for them. And so that's Saturday. Sunday, the other piece that's on that flyer that we will be sharing about, BJ Williams in California, he has a mobile bus and it's called Can I Be Vulnerable? And it is amazing. He will have it on site for Saturday, but he's going to also have it on site again on Sunday in West Las Vegas. So we're going to have an event Sunday morning where he's going to have the bus there. We're going to invite the community out, children, families, whoever, to see this amazing mental health bus, talk about services, kind of just fellowship a little bit, have some snacks. And it's going to be in Nuclear Plaza. And I'll make sure I get you guys the information.
Okay.
And it is going to be co-hosted with Gentlemen's by Choice. So we're going to be using their location in the parking lot to have this event. So basically, this is a 2.5, 3-day kind of embracing men and talking about mental health, but Sunday geared more towards family, because family play a huge part in helping to our men, supporting our men in terms of taking care of themselves. I think that's important to talk about as well.
It's dope. It's dope.
That is. Yeah. Well, again, thank you so much for joining us today.
Awesome.
Thank you for everyone that tuned in on YouTube and Facebook. And we just want to let you guys know that we're going more content. We're going to ask Miss Natasha, excuse me, to come back and speak with us. And as we get closer and closer to the date of the event, we'll give you information. Gerard, any parting thoughts?
Just thanks for the opportunity. We talk a lot one-on-one, Angela, about the importance of just raising awareness around mental health. And it's just good hearing Natasha say that 60% of her clients are male, and that's a different narrative. We talk about changing the narrative sometime, and you just did that, because in my mind, we're just not showing up. So it's good to hear that. But, again, anything that we can do to help promote the event. Again, I will be in the house. I've been working on my material. I'm bringing the heat. So all my people out there, man, bring your butts.
Reading up and researching.
Man. Bring your butts. It's coming. We coming.
I'm trying not to eavesdrop on you guys' workshops. I'm gonna stay away.
Okay. That's it. Appreciate you again. Thank you so much.
Miss Mosby, any parting thoughts?
I just want to thank you, and I will say to our community that we are powerful. We're more powerful and more resilient than we think, and it's okay to let some of those guards down, but I understand why we keep them up so much, right? It's tough, but I want to hopefully create a weekend where you feel so okay to be vulnerable in your space and who you are, that on Father's Day you wake up like, man, I want to, I want to embrace that more. So I just want to thank just even the folks I see in outpatient. It's hard to come into a space and be, take off some of those layers and start the healing process, because healing is a process. This don't happen overnight.
That is.
But if we can just kind of start planting the seed, I think communities heal when we do that. People heal when you do that. So I'm excited about this.
Yes. Again, thank you everybody for joining us this evening. Flex, why don't you go ahead, kick the outro, and let's get it rolling.
Awesome.
Let me do it for you. Baby, don't forget the floor is yours. Yeah, baby, got me. The floor is yours. If it come down to the floor is yours. Let me show you how I prove the floor